Imagine waking up every day to a world where your entire existence is defined by a single number. It's not just your bank balance or social media followers, it's a ranking, a position that dictates your worth, your opportunities, and even your relationships. It might sound like something out of a dystopian novel, but take a moment to consider. Are we already living in this world, albeit in a subtler form, from social media likes to academic grades, job performance reviews to global economic indices? Our lives are filled with rankings, but why? Why do we care so much about these rankings, and what does this obsession reveal about our society and ourselves? This is a deep dive into the philosophical underpinnings of the numbers that seem to rule our lives. Rankings are everywhere in modern life, whether it's a list of top universities, Fortune 500 companies, or the most followed social media influencers. Nearly everything gets classified into neat hierarchies. And this doesn't stop with institutions or public figures. It trickles down into our personal lives. Dating apps rank your attractiveness. Workplaces measure your productivity, and even our leisure activities are often rated by stars or points. But why do we care so much? Is this just a reflection of our competitive nature, or is there something deeper at play? Are rankings simply tools for measuring success, or do they have a more profound impact on our identities and our sense of self-worth? This exploration will delve into these questions from a philosophical perspective, examining why we obsess over rankings and what this obsession means for our society and our individual lives. One reason we obsess over rankings is our deep-seated need for validation. From a young age, we're taught to seek approval, whether from parents, teachers, or peers. Rankings offer a clear, quantifiable way to measure our success and, by extension, our worth. When we rank highly, it feels like an affirmation of our efforts. This need for validation is embedded in our psychology, influencing how we think and act. Rankings also provide a sense of certainty in an unpredictable world. Life is full of uncertainties, and rankings help to simplify and make sense of it all. By putting people, institutions, and experiences into ordered lists, we create an illusion of order and control. This can be comforting, especially in a world that often feels overwhelming. Human beings are naturally competitive. Our ancestors competed for resources, mates, and survival, and this competitive instinct has been passed down through generations. Rankings tap into this instinct by providing a way to measure ourselves against others and strive for superiority. The desire to be the best, to outdo others, is a powerful motivator behind our obsession with rankings. In today's social media-driven world, the fear of missing out, or FOMO, has become a widespread phenomenon. Rankings exacerbate this fear by creating a sense of urgency and competition. If we're not at the top, we feel as though we're missing out on something important. This fear drives us to constantly compare ourselves to others and strive to improve our rankings, sometimes at the expense of our well-being. Meritocracy, the idea that individuals should be rewarded based on their abilities, talents, and efforts, is central to the concept of rankings. Rankings are often seen as a reflection of this principle, offering a way to measure and reward merit. However, meritocracy isn't without its critics. Some argue that rankings can perpetuate inequality and reinforce existing power structures rather than truly reflecting merit. Utilitarianism, the idea that actions are right if they promote the greatest happiness for the greatest number, also plays a role in our obsession with rankings. Rankings can be viewed as a way to maximize utility by identifying the most successful or valuable individuals or institutions. But this approach can lead to a narrow focus on measurable outcomes, neglecting other important aspects of life, such as ethics, creativity, and individuality. Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of the will to power is another philosophical idea that helps explain our obsession with rankings. According to Nietzsche, the will to power is the fundamental driving force behind human behavior, the desire to assert and enhance one's power and influence. Rankings provide a tangible way to measure and exercise this power, allowing individuals to rise above others and assert their dominance. This perspective highlights the role of power dynamics in our obsession with rankings. From an existentialist standpoint, our obsession with rankings can be seen as a response to the inherent meaninglessness of life. Existentialist philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus argue that life has no inherent meaning or purpose. It's up to individuals to create their own meaning. Rankings offer a way to impose structure and meaning on our lives, giving us a sense of purpose and direction. However, relying on external measures of success can also be seen as avoiding the freedom and responsibility that come with existential self-determination. Rankings have a profound impact on our identity and sense of self-worth. In a society that highly values success and achievement, our position in various rankings can become a defining aspect of who we are. This can lead to an over-reliance on external validation, where our self-worth is determined by how we stack up against others. This externalization of self-worth can have negative effects, such as feelings of inadequacy, anxiety, and depression. Media and technology amplify our obsession with rankings. In the digital age, rankings are more visible and accessible than ever thanks to social media, online reviews, and other digital content. Constant exposure to rankings fosters a culture of comparison, where people continuously evaluate themselves and others based on these external metrics. This culture of comparison can be harmful to our mental health, as it breeds competition and feelings of inadequacy. Rankings can also reinforce social and economic inequalities. Often, the criteria used to determine rankings reflect existing power structures and privileges. For example, rankings of universities or corporations often hinge on access to resources and networks, rather than true merit or value. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle, where those at the top continue to gain advantages, while those at the bottom are further marginalized. Another cultural implication of rankings is the commodification of value. In a society obsessed with rankings, everything becomes a commodity to be measured, compared, and consumed. This commodification extends beyond material goods to include experiences, relationships, and even individuals. As a result, the intrinsic value of things is often overshadowed by their ranked position. This shift can lead to a shallow, transactional view of life, where the pursuit of high rankings overshadows more meaningful pursuits. In a ranking-obsessed society, there's immense pressure to conform to the criteria and standards that determine rankings. This stifles creativity and individuality, as people feel compelled to fit into predefined categories to succeed. The fear of not ranking highly can become paralyzing, preventing individuals from taking risks or pursuing unconventional paths. Our obsession with rankings can also erode authenticity, as individuals and institutions may prioritize appearance and superficial success over genuine values and integrity. In a world where rankings are often based on external metrics like wealth, popularity, or influence, there's a temptation to manipulate or game the system to achieve a higher ranking. This can lead to a culture of inauthenticity, where the pursuit of high rankings takes precedence over honesty, transparency, and authenticity. The relentless pursuit of high rankings can have serious consequences for mental health. The constant pressure to measure up to others and achieve success can lead to stress, anxiety, and burnout. The culture of comparison fostered by rankings can also contribute to feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. In extreme cases, the obsession with rankings can lead to destructive behaviors such as perfectionism, overwork, and even self-harm. On a broader societal level, the obsession with rankings can threaten democratic values. In a society where success is measured solely by rankings, there's a risk that democratic principles like equality, justice, and fairness may be undermined. Rankings can create a hierarchical society where those at the top hold disproportionate power and influence, potentially leading to a concentration of wealth and resources that exacerbates social and economic inequalities. This hierarchical structure can weaken the foundations of democracy by marginalizing those at the lower end of the rankings and limiting their access to opportunities and representation. Another consequence of a ranking-obsessed society is the potential loss of intrinsic motivation. When individuals and institutions are primarily driven by the desire to achieve high rankings, they may lose sight of the intrinsic value of their work or activities. This can lead to a focus on external rewards such as recognition, status, and financial gain, rather than the inherent satisfaction and fulfillment that comes from pursuing one's passions and values. Over time, this shift in motivation can lead to a sense of emptiness and disconnection from one's true self. In a society that prioritizes rankings, there is a risk of dehumanizing individuals by reducing them to mere numbers or positions on a list. This dehumanization can manifest in various ways, such as the objectification of individuals based on their appearance, the commodification of relationships, or the exploitation of workers in the pursuit of higher profits. When people are valued solely based on their rankings, their unique qualities, experiences, and humanity are often overlooked, leading to a loss of empathy and compassion in society. One way to challenge the obsession with rankings is to embrace alternative values that prioritize intrinsic worth, creativity, and individuality over external metrics of success. This may involve redefining what it means to be successful, shifting the focus from competition to collaboration, and celebrating diverse forms of achievement that are not easily quantifiable. By cultivating a culture that values authenticity, personal growth, and meaningful connections, we can begin to move away from the relentless pursuit of rankings and foster a more inclusive and compassionate society. Another important step in challenging the obsession with rankings is to promote critical thinking and media literacy. In a world where rankings are often presented as objective and authoritative, it is essential to question the criteria and methods used to determine these rankings. By encouraging individuals to think critically about the sources and implications of rankings, we can empower them to make more informed decisions and resist the pressure to conform to arbitrary standards of success. Media literacy education can also help individuals navigate the digital landscape, where rankings are often manipulated or biased, and develop a more nuanced understanding of the information they consume. To address the social and economic inequalities perpetuated by rankings, it is crucial to foster a culture of inclusion and equity. This may involve rethinking the criteria used to determine rankings, ensuring that they are more inclusive and reflective of diverse experiences and perspectives. It may also involve advocating for policies and practices that promote equal access to opportunities and resources, regardless of one's position in a ranking. By creating a more equitable society, we can reduce the pressure to compete for limited resources and foster a sense of collective well-being. In a ranking-obsessed society, it is easy to become caught up in the pursuit of external validation and lose sight of one's own well-being. Mindfulness and self-compassion practices can provide valuable tools for resisting this pressure and cultivating a sense of inner peace and self-worth. By focusing on the present moment and treating oneself with kindness and understanding, individuals can develop resilience to the stress and anxiety associated with rankings. These practices can also help individuals reconnect with their intrinsic motivations and values, leading to a more fulfilling and authentic life. Ultimately, challenging the obsession with rankings requires a shift in how we define success on a personal level. Instead of measuring success by external achievements or comparisons to others, we can redefine success in terms of personal growth, well-being, and meaningful contributions to the world. This may involve setting goals that are aligned with one's values and passions rather than societal expectations, and finding fulfillment in the process of self-discovery and self-improvement. By embracing a more holistic and individualized definition of success, we can free ourselves from the constraints of rankings and live more authentic and satisfying lives. As we've explored, our obsession with rankings is deeply rooted in psychological, philosophical, and cultural factors. While rankings can provide a sense of validation, certainty, and competition, they also have significant consequences for our identity, well-being, and society as a whole. By recognizing the limitations and dangers of a ranking-obsessed mindset, we can begin to challenge the dominance of rankings in our lives and embrace alternative values and approaches to success. The journey beyond rankings isn't easy. It requires a fundamental shift in how we think about ourselves and the world around us. However, by fostering a culture of authenticity, inclusion, and compassion, we can create a society where individuals are valued for their unique qualities and contributions rather than their position on a list. In doing so, we can move towards a new paradigm for success, one that prioritizes personal growth, well-being, and meaningful connections over external validation and competition. As we conclude this exploration, I invite you to reflect on your own relationship with rankings. How have they influenced your sense of self-worth, your decisions, and your interactions with others? What would it mean for you to redefine success in your own life, free from the constraints of rankings? By engaging in this introspective process, we can begin to liberate ourselves from the numbers that rule our lives and embrace a more authentic and fulfilling way of being. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you found this exploration thought-provoking, please consider subscribing, sharing your thoughts, and continuing the conversation. Let's work together to create a world where success is defined not by numbers, but by the richness of our experiences and the depth of our connection.